the Diary of a CEO dropped a really interesting debate on feminism. And one of the panelists is Louise Perry. And I have been discussing her ideas in the set of videos I've been making for the past couple of weeks about feminism and my thoughts on it. And I thought it was worth sort of going through clip by clip some of the parts that I found really interesting and reacting to it or giving my opinions about it. This is the first one.
Rape is worse than assault, like non-sexual assault. And the law recognises that. And we all socially recognise that because there is something uniquely intimate and therefore uniquely violating about having sex without consent. And I think that it's really hard actually to hold those two things simultaneously in mind and say sex is unimportant. It's basically just like a skill set that you can practice on other people, that it's a leisure activity, all this kind of...
It trivializes
right.
it.
And then also say, but consent is extraordinarily important. Like, why?
Yeah, so this is exactly what I have been feeling ever since the Me Too movement happened. The first response that feminists gave to the Me Too movement, to the fact that women have had such extraordinarily awful, traumatic experiences in the bed, was not to say that, okay, perhaps we need to rethink what it means to be a woman, that perhaps our sexual autonomy is not the most important thing. Maybe there is something wrong with the pursuit of sex itself. And this is not to say that sex isn't an important part of a human being's life or a woman's life, but that is to say that if we're having such awful experiences in bed with casual sex, that perhaps there's something wrong with that entire scenario. And I never saw a single feminist during Me Too say that maybe we should just take a break from the whole casual sex environment. It was always about men shouldn't rave and men shouldn't do this. Like, of course, men shouldn't be doing this. Of course, that does not go without saying that this shouldn't be happening. But the fact is that it is happening. And how is a woman engaging in more casual sex making it less probable for it to happen? It's not anti-feminist to say that maybe we're not biologically wired to behave like this. This is the kind of behavior that we've been socially engineered to engage in. And this is not something that we know how to deal with at a very deep biological level. So this is all not to say that a woman who wants to explore her sexuality shouldn't be free to do so. But it is to question what is the best path of wanting to become a free, sexual, liberated woman. And I simply don't believe that that path lies in the scenario of hooking up with a stranger or one night, completely bearing yourself, your entire vulnerable being to them, and then, packing your bags and leaving and never seeing that person again. I don't see how, unless you spend more time with that person, unless you both are willing to talk about things that matter to you, unless you're willing to have that kind of intimacy, not just have it in the sense that just grab it, but work on it together. It makes no sense for any woman to be able to come to terms with who she is as a sexual being. All of this comes down to what Louise Perry says, which is that sex needs to be its own moral category and that we need to treat the realm of the sexual as something that has far greater value, far more responsibility, far more meaning and far more care that needs to be given, and which has often been cut out of the sexual experience, and much of the blame lies with feminism.